Would you just look at this ridiculous pile of crap? My shed is a disaster, and it's because it's full of prospecting equipment I barely use. You don't need any of this crap to be a prospector, and it's a valuable lesson in humility to understand that. Sluice boxes, gold pans, the classifiers that feed them, and big setups like the Keen down there are just the middle class version of doing something that you can essentially do for free. You see, for the longest time, gold has been found by people with absolutely nothing to do subsistence living. Think about it. The Aztecs were mining gold 4,000 years ago. So were the Egyptians. And so were many civilizations before them. And they were doing it with stone tools and wood. Which begs the question of why I need a 3D printed pan that's made out of ABS plastic. This is a marvel of modern engineering in comparison to, using a sluice box that utilizes the ground and some rocks. We're really lucky that gold has one thing above all else that allows us to find it so easily. Put simply, it's super freaking dense. Every cubic centimeter of gold weighs 19.3 grams. Lead only weighs 11. Or is it 7? That'll show my ignorance, I can't remember. Quartz like this only weighs between 2.4 and 2.6. And that means that the techniques to find gold have not changed for millennia. All we do is utilize gravity and some kind of separation method. Usually that's water, but sometimes that's air. Either way, if you separate all the particles in the dirt, gravity will take effect and the gold will sink. Whether or not you believe in gravity, that's what happens. I got a message this morning from a man who said that he lost everything, he's in a gold field, and he wants to be able to find a little bit of gold to help support himself. And that is a super common story out in the gold field. And the questions always stem back to, what kind of gear do I need? Do I need to spend 60, 70 bucks on a panning kit to be able to find gold? And the answer is emphatically no, it's not. You can spend next to no money to find gold. You don't even need to buy a proper gold pan or a sluice box or a snuffer bottle. So this is what I would do. Number one is you're going to need some kind of gold pan. Now you can go and buy the cheapest, nastiest plastic black gold pan. They cost somewhere around $10. If you've got that 10 bucks, I would go and do that. But you don't need that. You need anything that is bowl shaped. You can use a bowl. You can use something like a shovel head. You can use something like a scoop. It doesn't matter as long as it is slightly bowl shaped. And then the surface needs to be roughed up, whether that's a handful of gravel or sandpaper in it to make it nice and rough. That's what you do. Anything bowl shaped can be used as a gold pan. You're going to need some kind of shovel. Well, that doesn't mean you need a shovel. It just means you need something to be able to scoop gravel out of the creek. That might be another bowl, a metal container, a dog dish, whatever it is. It just needs to be able to scoop gravel out of the creek for you. I would strongly suggest probably picking up a shovel because it will save you back in the long run. A lot of people are going to say you need a snuffer bottle. You don't actually need a snuffer bottle. What you need is a bucket. Go to a construction site where there are painters there and ask them for their old paint buckets. Clean the paint buckets out and utilize the buckets. These are going to be able to transport not only your pay dirt from an area to where you're washing your dirt, you're also going to be able to utilize them as a seat. And when you finish your pan or bowl of concentrates, you just tip that into your bucket. It's much quicker, much more efficient, and you get multiple uses out of it. You absolutely don't need a classifier, but if you wanted to utilize the classifier, which can make panning easier, especially if you're not using a gold pan, I would go and pick up a fan cover. So you can go to the tip shop or any rubbish dumps, and there's almost always an old disused fan there. They have a beautiful grate. You'll need to add some wire going in the opposite direction, which you can simply use some piece of fencing wire that you can find pretty much anywhere there's a fence. Sluice boxes are definitely the fastest way to process pay dirt, but you do not need a sluice box. If I have taught anything on my channels to this point, it is that you can utilize almost anything as a sluice, including just the river itself. All you need is fast water and somewhere for the gold to settle. I would go to a carpet place and look in their dumpsters. Out the back of every carpet place I've ever been to, I find disused carpet. Carpet works perfectly as a sluice mat. You don't need the box to go in it. You just build it out of rock in the fast water in the creek and dump your mat in there. Go get a piece of carpet, you've got a sluice box. It's rudimentary, you will lose a little bit of gold, but it will process dirt much faster than your bowl. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is pretty much it. That's all you actually need to go prospecting, and you can get almost 100% of that for free if you're willing to scrounge around and look in the right places. Gold prospecting is not just a hobby for people. For a lot of people, it's a way of earning a subsistence living. And it's important that we understand that the equipment like this doesn't have to be the best to find gold. In fact, you can be incredibly efficient with almost nothing. So next time you're umming and ahhing about which pan, sluice box, or metal detector you're thinking about getting, just remember that there's probably a guy out on a creek making his daily wage by finding gold with a saucepan. And that ultimately, if you're in this for a hobby, it doesn't really matter.